Hey, it's Matt Pinfield, and I'm here at Sunset Sounds, the legendary studio, with the artist Dorothy, and I'm really excited to be here with her. She has a new album called Gifts from the Holy Ghost. 10 incredibly strong songs, and we're here today to talk about that album and everything, all about Dorothy. Dorothy, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you.
You know, I want to talk to you about, I think your story is just incredible, about how you ended up coming to the United States and being born in Hungary, in Budapest. Can you tell me a bit about that? Because you left the country when you were very young.
Yeah, when we left, it was me and my mom, and it was a communist country. And we were on the run from some ex-family members that were corrupt part of the government. And so we had our passports taken away, and she had to find a way to get our passports back. This is like a spy movie. I mean, it's really strange, but I don't remember any of it. I went to German preschool, and I ended up in San Diego.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so what are your earliest memories of music? Because, I mean, you just have this incredible voice, this power and emotion in your voice. What was the thing that drew you to music first, and what are those earliest memories?
Well, my mom got married, and my stepdad had a massive classic vinyl collection. I mean, the first thing I heard was Pink Floyd, Great Gig in the Sky, and it was the woman's vocal, and on the Dark Side of the Moon album, and she was wailing, and it was just so haunting and eerie. It did something to me, you know. And then I was listening to CCR, and Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash.
A lot of great stuff.
A lot of country. I actually learned how to sing from country music.
That's great. A lot of classic country, right? Yeah, that's great. I love hearing that story. And so, you know, the great thing is your third album is coming out now. We've been really excited about it because it's been a few years since 28 Days in the Valley. Let's talk about the time in between the last record and now, and how these songs took fruition. First of all, obviously, being an artist like yourself who's used to touring and performing live, you know, the whole lockdown COVID thing had to definitely affect you as a musician. Can you talk to me about that?
Yes. Well, obviously we couldn't tour. Not only did it affect, you know, our work, I think it took a heavy spiritual and emotional toll on everybody. And, you know, I relapsed during COVID. I actually, so the making of the album was such an up and down journey. It's incredible. I feel like I lived a whole lifetime during that period. It was maybe 2 years from inception to finish, maybe 2.5. And we brought so many great songwriters and producers on board and stuff. So from the very beginning, I mean, I can't believe what I personally went through on a personal level. And then the whole world, you know, is facing this just almost dystopian, like pandemic Rick and Morty episode. I just don't know how anybody dealt with it. There was a lot of overdoses, a lot of relapses. So, but before that, I left LA and I moved to San Diego. I had breast implant illness. So I got those taken out and had this massive major surgery. And then I took my painkillers, you know, as prescribed by the doctor. And when I finished them, it was the strangest thing. I had the deepest grief, and I don't know what was causing it. I hear that can happen sometimes with surgery. And so I relapsed. And then I got my sobriety back. It took me probably a full 9 months to recover from the surgery and be able to run and walk like a normal person, like how I used to. And then I started getting together with friends of mine and writing songs, and you know, this album slowly but surely started to get pieced together. I left in the middle of the pandemic and lived in a hotel in Brooklyn for a month. And I recorded with Joel Hamilton at Studio G. Some of the guys joined us, and we did a good chunk of the recording there. And then I came home, relapsed again, and went to rehab in Nashville for a month. And then in rehab in Nashville, I got saved, and then when I came home, I joined a church and started my sobriety journey again. And then I mean, I don't know how you can pack so much shit into 1 year, but somehow it happened. I was then assaulted by an ex-boyfriend, relapsed again, and then found a new sponsor. And she's been a total godsend. Her story is so similar to mine that I feel like I'm, you know, with the right person, like in safe hands.
That's great to hear.
Yeah,
you know.
but throughout this, making an album.
A great album, by the way. And we can relate because I relapsed during the pandemic as well, and went through that whole thing. I went to treatment, and and similar. Well, I guess you're talking about surgery after being hit by a car. Same thing. It took me like 8 months to walk again, and without a cane and a walker after having your leg broken in half. And so I mean, we're resilient, and I think that's one of the things that's great. It's a big part of what your story and what the songs are about is having the strength to come back and fight through. And I love that about you.
I don't think any of it's an accident.
Yeah, it's
for
amazing.
Sure.
Let's talk about this record, and I think we should talk about all the songs on it too. But overall, I mean, there's just this really powerful message, of just, literally having the strength to carry on. Just, there's a thing about unity, it's spirituality. There's a lot of things I hear in these songs, and about going through, different phases of life. Can we start by talking about the first song on the record, A Beautiful Life?
Yes, absolutely. A Beautiful Life is one of my favorite songs on the record. It has my favorite lyric on the record, which is Don't Let the Demons Get You Down. I wrote that song in Vegas with Jason Hook, and I think it's so rock and roll, but it's inspiring and uplifting and electrifying, and I wanted it to be, I don't know, I just wanted to write the realest experiences into a song that I could. And so on the second verse, there's a lyric that says, there was a time I was willing to die, because a few years ago I was suicidal, and I didn't see any way out of that. And anyone that's dealing with that can probably understand how hopeless it feels. But then, I believe in a higher power, and whatever the plan is for my life, it wasn't to take myself out. And so I wanted to impart that message into the song and give people hope, because it's a heavy thing to struggle with.
Yeah, it really is. I absolutely know that personally. And I got to say, there's another lyric in that line I love, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, where it says, you are definitely enough, don't change, or something like that.
Yeah, you are more than enough, don't change.
Than enough, don't change. I love that. That's a great lyric of a way to say, because so many people, because of outside forces and social media and
Yep.
things that people have to go through in life.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the youth of our, the youthful generations, the younger generations, growing up just inundated with social media and pressure and filters and things that are just not based in reality, and probably feeling empty inside and soulless. And I see it in their eyes, and they're glued to their phones. They're not interacting. They're socially awkward, and they're overdosing on fentanyl. Yeah. It's just plaguing everybody. It's plaguing the country. So I wanted to really speak to them directly in this song, and tell them that they're more than enough, and there's a reason that every single person's here. I truly believe that. So otherwise, I should be dead many times over.
I can relate to that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But we're still here, and there's got to be a reason. So I'm trusting the process, and I hope they do too, and I hope that they get some support from this music.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. The song is so empowering and just reassuring. I love that about the words, and your performance is great. Big Guns is the next song on the record. It's the second song. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, Chris Traynor wrote that, and I love the slide guitar. I just love the vibe of it. I did most of the production with Joel Hamilton in New York, and he has this old brass ship bell in the studio, and you can hear it when he hits the bell. It's like you're ready to fight. I imagine like just a fighter going into the ring, but it's got this almost gothic Western vibe to it, and it's an empowering song. It's about, lyrically, it's about getting out of an abusive relationship. That's where I was coming from, but you can interpret it however you want.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great thing about the lyrically, the songs is people can take them and make them personal, but it's great that you use that as a cathartic way to write songs and deal with those experiences, which is cool. Now, I love that because you mentioned Jason Hook, who of course was originally in Five Finger Death Punch, and Chris Traynor, who plays with Bush and is another great, some really great players and songwriters you've worked with on this record, so I love that.
There's more.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the first single from the album, Rest in Peace, which is next on the album, is such a great song, about basically saying goodbye in a relationship and putting it to rest. Talk to me about the lyrics, because the lyrics are so good to this song.
Yeah, so I love writing lyrics, but I have to give all the credit to Scott Stevens and the Four Horsemen. They wrote this song, and he had me in mind, and I was just so blessed and honored that he would, because those guys are just a writing force to be reckoned with. And I heard the song, and I was like, you took the words right out of my mouth. It could be about putting to bed a bad relationship, but it could also be about like me talking to my alcoholism and saying I'm done with you. He certainly read my mind. I feel like he really came from a place of writing for someone, and he got it right. The song is just so good.
It really is. It's a great song. Like you said, it can be used metaphorically for either of those things, and that's one of the things that I love about it. And it's interesting because you and I are both in recovery, and some people talk about a practice of literally saying goodbye to or writing a letter to your addiction or your alcoholism or something. So it's almost it works in so many different ways. So it's such an incredibly endearing song. So I wanted to talk to you about that too. And Scott Stevens, is talk to me about working with Scott because he's a guy who used to, believe it or not, be the night manager of this studio when he was starting out, when he was really young. He told you and I both that. But, he's written some great stuff with people like Daughtry and Hailstorm. And started out in a really cool band called the Exies, but he's become quite the producer and songwriter now. I know that you really liked working with him. Do you feel like, tell me about the relationship there.
Yes, absolutely adore Scott. Love working with him. I want to write with him on my next album. I'm already thinking about that. I just felt so comfortable in the studio with him. He creates this really safe space for the artist, and we knocked out those vocals really fast. His whole setup is great. I felt comfortable, my ears felt good, my voice felt good, and his studio was comfy and quaint, and he is so talented. It just blows my mind. So I'm sitting here pinching myself, like, how did all these incredible people get pulled together on one record? I don't know how it happened, but I am certainly grateful.
But it did, and the great thing is you guys will be going out and playing these songs live soon too. I'm telling you, Dorothy, this record, what I love about it is, these 10 songs literally just fly by. It's one of those things where you listen to an album and you want to put it on again. I think that's that says so much about the record, and that's the magical thing about when you love embracing an entire album as a music fan, as somebody who really takes music seriously, and because of the passion that a record gives you. And there's not a lot of that these days. I think people work singles are definitely important, but I love that this works as an entire album, and I think it's a magical group of songs. Let's talk about the next song on the album, which is called Top of the World.
Oh yeah, Top of the World I did with Trevor Lukather, good friend of mine and a good friend of the band's. Incredible guitar player. His melodic solos are just heavenly. They're so beautiful. And I drove up to LA, I got my hotel and I went to his studio, and he had these riffs, and we just started writing, and I put down all the lyrics for Top of the World. Top of the World was really angsty, wanting to be released from, the state of the nation. That's where I was coming from. Anyone can interpret anything how they want, but it was just like being really frustrated with the restriction and the tension on everything, so it's a little nebulous, it's a little abstract, but you can kind of get where I was coming from on that. And to me, it sounds like a perfect song for like a Marvel or DC film, like the Avengers or something. It felt kind of victorious and powerful, and it felt kind of cinematic to me. And Trevor has a talent that way, where he's writing songs that sound great for big films.
Yeah, Trevor's an incredible talent. It's interesting for people that are watching. Trevor is the son of Steve Lukather, the incredible guitarist who's played with everybody from Michael Jackson to, of course, being one of the founding members of Toto. And talent runs in that family, because Trevor's incredible. In fact, the first time I was introduced to him was by Tom Morello, who's another guitar legend, who said, this young guy, Trevor's an incredible guitar player, and he's doing great stuff. So he got, besides his dad, He's got Morello's seal of approval there, who
Right.
thinks he's great. And I just love the two of you working together. Trevor's such a great guy. He's a great young musician, man. I really think it's cool. It makes sense to me. And it came out, it sounds really great.
I'm trying to take him on tour with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to make that happen someday.
I hope he does it.
Yeah.
I hope he does. He needs to do that. Hurricane is another really powerful song on this record.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
also Trevor Lukather track.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I think the chorus it's a pop chorus.
Yeah, but it's so good. I mean, it's another one of those songs about getting through some stuff, right?
Yeah, Hurricane's a little more fun and tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
We were having fun. We were going back and forth together on the lyrics, and they felt, a little cliche, but it worked for some reason. It was just a fun song to do, and it's kind of about just randomly like falling for somebody. It's I wasn't even looking when your body hit me like a hurricane. I didn't expect to run into this person and have that spark and that magic moment,
Yeah.
But I just love the chorus on that. When I write, half the time it comes out as gibberish, and I'm sort of just formulating the melody, and he was like, oh, that melody is great, So then on the car ride home, I'm singing it over and over again, and I'm getting the lyrics. As I'm driving, I'm like singing the gibberish, and it's slowly starting to morph into words. So I don't know how this happens. It just came together, and I think it's honestly a fun pop song played by a rock band. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I think that's a really cool way of writing. I think when sometimes you listen to things phonetically and how they sound in phrase, and then the words just happen to come out of nowhere, or
Yeah.
they just pop in and they end up working, which it really does on that song. Let's talk about the next track, which is a ballad on the record. It's a song that you didn't write, but you just fell in love with. You felt was also really written for you, which is...
Yeah, that was Audra May. She's an incredible songwriter based out of Nashville. She also wrote What's Coming to Me.
Yeah.
And she wrote that song for her friend whose father had passed away. And you can hear it in the lyrics. It's a storytelling, it's about really letting someone go, and it's bittersweet. They're on the other side and you're saying goodbye to them, but you're still mourning the loss of this person. I think everyone can relate to that, everyone. And it certainly hit me in my heart, and I had to have the song for the record, so.
Yeah, Close to Me Always, such a great song. And, it's amazing how halfway through the record, got all these great songs, but it's already taking you on this really cool journey, you know what I mean? Which I have to say. Really
And
works.
fun fact, Chris Lord-Alge also co-produced the album. He took over production at the halfway mark and mixed everything. So he's a legend. He's got an incredible ear. I have wanted him to produce, and that's what ended up happening. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. He adds these nuggets here and there, like on Big Guns.
Yeah.
He added like you can hear it. It's a part, and on a Beautiful Life, he added some strings it's its own part, and it's like ear candy.
Yeah.
And it makes it super catchy. He's really good at that, and his mixing skills are next level.
Yeah, his mixing skills. I mean, Chris Lord-Alge, he's mixed so many great records. He and his brother Tom are just legends in the business. And Chris is the guy who keeps just bringing it so powerfully in rock right now. He's still, he always has his finger on the pulse. He's a really incredibly talented guy, so I'm glad you guys worked
He's got a
together
bunch
on this.
of great stories like you.
Yeah, he's funny. I love that about Chris, because we've worked on, a couple things together, and we've just, I could listen to him tell stories all day, and we enjoy when he shares that kind of stuff. He's got, what a history, But I just love that his stuff still sounds so modern and in your face and powerful. And I'm so glad that you worked with him on that, So let's talk about Black Sheep, the next song on the record. This is a really cool track too. Did you write this one with Scott?
This one, yes. So this is another Scott Stevens track and the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
We wrote the song over Zoom. They had the basic concept. They had the meat and potatoes of the song. I made some lyrical changes, but I feel like Black Sheep will be a fan favorite. It's a song for the rock and roll community. It's for the fans. It's about being, the black sheep, and we are blood, we are family. That's the lyric in the chorus, because it's true. When you go to a rock concert or a festival, it's there's just a sense of unity and family, and there's a bond, you know, and rock will never be dead. That's a fact. It never will be. I think it's so organic, and it speaks right to the heart and soul, and it makes you feel things. It makes you feel alive. That's the whole point of, I think, of music, to communicate and to make you feel something in your spirit. But this song, it feels very celebratory to me. It's a party song.
Yeah.
It's a party song.
Yeah, it's a great track.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a live favorite, like you said.
I agree.
When people see it. The next track on the record is called Touched by Fire. Tell me about this.
Yeah, Touched by Fire is another Trevor Lukather song. We wanted a big, stadium, arena anthem rock song. To me, it sounds like you're playing a stadium. You're playing a big show at the end with the confetti and the balloons, or you're at a Guns N' Roses concert and it's one big party. It has that energy to it, and his soloing again is so incredible. So we did a lot of stacked gang vocals on that. I think the riff is great. I didn't think too hard about the lyrics. There's a little bit of angstiness in there, like, you know, impatience, wanting to get out and live life, and so that energy is in the track, and I hope the fans like it.
I think they will. I love the next track on the record, the 9th song, and this song is called Made to Die. I love the speed of the song, and I love those lyrics. Like, that whole idea of when you're with somebody and you still feel alone. There's that great part of the lyric, and you can clarify that lyric for me, because I'm still getting to know the lyrics, but I love them. And I immediately picked up on that part, and also the part about even when you're crying, you're still stone cold or cold.
Yeah.
So talk to me, what are the correct lyrics so I did that right?
Put me on the spot.
No. I mean, I think it is.
Even when you're there, I'm all alone. Even
Yes.
when you cry, you're made of stone. I gave you my whole heart to break. This love was made to die. That's a Keith Wallen track. I wrote a bunch of songs with him, super talented, from Breaking Benjamin, good friend of mine. I went out to Nashville, wrote a bunch of songs with him, and then back and forth to LA, and Made to Die made the record, and it's up-tempo, but it's romantic, and in a emo sort of way. I feel like there's a youthfulness about the track, and Sam Colton ripped a killer solo on that. I love that kid, and he did so good on this record. But yeah, it's got that gut-wrenching, like 16-year-old heartbreak love. I mean, it's just a high school song.
Yeah.
So I dedicate that song to all the middle and high school kids that are hurting. You know?
Yeah, it's a great track. It really is. I love the feel of it, and just like the way the song moves. But one of my favorites on the record is the final song on the album, which is the title track, Gifts from the Holy Ghost. Man, this song is an anthem. Can you talk to me about this one? I know that you were in New York City when you wrote this.
We actually, Gifts from the Holy Ghost is the title track to the album, and it's a bit more of the classic rock influence sound. We actually wrote that song, the beginnings of that song, on tour. I was with Elliot Larengo and Eli Wolfmeyer and Owen Barry, and we were on tour with Greta Van Fleet in Spokane, Washington. And Spokane was on fire. Like, the state was burning. The air was so thick with smoke, the sky was orange, like blood orange. It was really eerie. And we were playing the Knitting Factory, and we were sound checking, and Eli Wolfmeyer, a good friend of mine, toured with us for a couple years, started playing this riff, and or he had written the riff at another sound check. And sometimes I'll join the sound check and start singing gibberish and record things on my phone, because you never know what they're going to turn into. And so he started playing the riff, and I had written out some lyrics already. I'd been thinking about this song for a while, and didn't know where it was headed, but it was originally titled Spokane Fire. And it's a song about waking up spiritually. It's a song about just opening your eyes and coming into your body, and waking up and connecting with your soul and your life's purpose. And it's loaded. I mean, the lyrics are loaded spiritually. It's deep, I think. I'm proud of my writing on this one. I can say that with a lot of self-assurance. There's a strong message in there, and I couldn't have done it without help from my friends. And then as the album progressed, I woke up in my, fast forward however many months, maybe a year, I woke up in my hotel room in Brooklyn, and I thought, Gifts from the Holy Ghost. That's the album title. So I wrote it down, and I went in the studio, and I was just listening to our songs and our recordings. And then when I listened back to Spokane Fire, I go, that's the chorus of this song, and it's not Spokane Fire, it's Gifts from the Holy Ghost. And so that became, the final piece of the puzzle for the whole album, and it just it feels like I'm being so true to myself, and it feels really good.
Yeah. You really are. I mean, because I love that you've always been so open about your personal experiences, all the things you went through. You've had just an incredible life, and but one of the things that I always take away from your songwriting and your performances, and just any conversation I have with you, is just you are always ready to use your strength to come back and get through whatever you have to get through, and perseverance. But it's spiritual at the same time, and I think I love that. One of the things that I really love about it, it's and you use that strength that you get from spirituality to do what you do, and that's why I need to ask you about your singing, because your voice, to me, is just incredible. Not only how powerful it is, but how beautiful it is. I mean, there are just so many dimensions to what you're able to do vocally. Can you talk to me about that? Like where it comes from for you? I mean, I know that we talked about what you were listening to when you were younger, but was there anyone in particular that you really loved and admired when you were coming up? Singers,
Oh yeah. Well, yes. Janis Joplin, Tina Turner, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Dolly Parton, LeAnn Rimes.
Yeah.
I mean, and Mick Jagger, and AC/DC and Chris Cornell.
Oh, great.
So many incredible vocalists, and I would say the majority of how I use my voice has been just self-discovery, like self-taught, but also, I learned what I could from some teachers, and just took it from there and experimented, and it's been a journey of just finding myself and how I sound and what I can do and how I can express myself. And there's a distinct difference between when the energy's there and there's something magical happening, and when you're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that we live for.
Absolutely. Now, we should talk about the show that you did when you guys were added to Welcome to Rockville down in Daytona Beach. The reviews of this show came back stellar. I mean, people were talking about how incredible you guys were. I know originally, I think you weren't scheduled to play, and then ended up playing, and played pretty early in the day, but people were blown away by that. Can you talk to me about that show? Because, I think it'll give people an idea of what's to come on this next tour.
Well, thank you to Danny Wimmer and Welcome to Rockville for having us. We were scheduled to play earlier, and somehow miraculously we got bumped to a later time slot. And it's so funny the neurotic meltdown that goes through your mind as an artist, especially as the front person, singer syndrome or whatever. That's a real thing. Teenage Wrist had just finished the incredible band, really good. They were so tight. And they had been on tour, and I was like, oh shit, we have to follow that. And I look out, and it's a decent crowd, and now half the decent crowd is leaving to buy beer, and I've got my in-ears in, and I'm getting ready, I'm warming up, I'm backstage, and I'm totally nervous, and the guys are checking their instruments, and some time goes by, and it's getting darker, and it's because we got bumped to this later slot. We're getting ready to go on, and I hear this chanting. This has got to be the biggest show we've ever played. I mean, I think it was 30,000, 40,000 people.
Yeah.
And I look out, and it's packed.
Like a sea of people.
A sea of people. I left my body. I didn't know what I was doing. All is well. I go out on stage, and my in-ears go out. I have no guitar, so I took them out, and I did the whole show without any ears. But, man, the crowd was incredible. It was so good to see humans again.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of drunk, sweaty, happy, smiling rock fans. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was on 11/11.
Yeah.
Can't make this shit up.
Yeah. And people loved it, by the way. They really did. The reviews came out from everybody that you guys were really triumphant and did really great there. Which takes me to the next question, because I'm excited. You guys are going to be going out on tour to support the album.
We'll be back in a lot of the cities that our fans know us in, and 3 dates in Texas and East Coast and Midwest, all that, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad people will get to see you all over, because they need to see you. You've got an incredible band, and the band is phenomenal. And that's going to be what's really exciting, is see you guys reproduce this record and do it. But the thing about you performing live always, Dorothy, is that, you know, you take it to a new level as well, because the record's incredible, but then it's another extension of yourself. So we're looking forward to those shows.
Well, I'm so honored to speak with you today, and I'm really looking forward to this tour.
It'll be great. Okay, Dorothy.
Please come to a show.
Oh, you know I'll be at more than one. I gotta be honest with you. I'm excited. I love this album, and I'll definitely be out to support you in a big way.
All right.
All right, thank you so much. So great to be here with Dorothy. Don't forget the album Gifts from the Holy Ghost, and you can get that anywhere, everywhere that you consume music. It will also be available soon on vinyl and CD as well. It's from Rock Nation. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been great coming to you from Sunset Sound. I'm Matt Pinfield, and Dorothy and I will see you next time.